Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Talkbase Friends Tool Talk. I always get that confused. I want to say Talk Tools, Tool Talk, and I always get it wrong, and I have to always check. But welcome back to another great event where, by the end of this event, you are going to learn something new about a tool that you may or may not have had the time to really get into the weeds of. It's something that's been on your list, but you keep pushing it down because you haven't got time, haven't got the energy. Don't fear. This series is all about giving you the motivation to turn up to learn about a tool that's going to help you build your community. And this particular event is special because what would it be if we didn't talk about the tool of Talkbase? That would just be crazy if we didn't talk about that. And we have, of course, one of the best people to come and talk about it. But before I introduce her, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Valentina. I am your event host for this entire series, which we have planned out until December 2024, which I know for a lot of people is like, we're not even finished with the first quarter yet. I plan in advance. I'm an event strategist, producer, manager, anything events, I'm there. But I'm organizing them, hosting them, attending them, planning them, you name it. I'm the event person. But I am not going to be the one talking today. I'm going to welcome Klara. Klara, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. I'm doing
Of
really well.
course.
I'm here in San Francisco with our team. Like we said, it's a really rainy day, but I'm doing amazing. So fun to see you, and thank you for having me. It's really fun to be a speaker and like a guest speaker on our events after such a long time.
Yeah, and we're so happy to have you. And before I actually start, and I'm sure you're going to talk about this anyway, but did everybody know that actually next week there is going to be a very special event? It's a community kickoff by Talkbase. So if you're interested to hear about what is in the plans for this year, what's new, different programs, and you need to sign up for that event as well, which I'm sure that you're going to talk about anyway. But here is the link to our RSVP because we all want to know what's on the pipeline. A lot of us are still waiting for that Community Rebellion conference announcement, which I know is not coming this year. But if you didn't join the Community Rebellion conference last year, you missed out. You really did. And we're all waiting for that big announcement. But let's talk about Talkbase. Tell us everything.
All right, thank you so much, Valentina, for the kickoff. And yeah, I'm super excited to jump in. As most of you know, my name is Clara. I'm one of the co-founders here at Talkbase, and we've been building kind of the next generation of community tooling. We're really focused on measuring why community matters, along with building kind of the foundation blocks that every community should have, an overview, a CRM list, being able to enrich their members. So I'm really excited to dive in today and show you a little bit more of what we are up to these days. I'm going to walk you through the whole product, which is something I don't think we've ever done. So you're getting really an exclusive sneak peek, whether you're here live with us or if you're just watching in the recording. This is really exciting. All right, let's jump in. So what I'm going to walk you through today is our demo account. The reason for that is all of our other accounts, even our community, has customer data, right? Or it has our community data, and we don't want to be sharing that due to GDPR. So I'm going to walk you through a demo account we have put together for you so you can kind of see Talkbase in the full swing. So when you log into Talkbase, you're welcome with this dashboard. Now, this kind of gives you already like a very, very quick overview of what's happening in Talkbase. Number one, you see how many contacts you have. That means how many profiles you have in your community. Number two, you see how many companies, right? So you kind of know how many accounts are there. And then you also see integrations that are currently pouring in to your Talkbase workspace. So you actually see I have four here right now. I have my GitHub, my Discord, my Slack, and HubSpot. We have both community and business integrations. We do have several of them already, and we're very lucky to have amazing customers that are working with us to integrate more platforms as we grow. So if you have an integration request and you're already using Talkbase or would love to use an integration as a blocker, just talk to us. Like we do this a lot. And then when we kind of dive in a little bit deeper, you can see that this is where the kind of the stats around your community are placed. So I see all the combined communities right here, and then I see them divided by channel. So again, I go GitHub, Discord, and Slack, so I can kind of see the quick overview. Now, one of the biggest building blocks of Talkbase is our CRM, so that's where I will take you next. The way contacts get created within your CRM are through different ways. Number one, integrations, very obvious one. Number two, you can actually import your contacts. So if before Talkbase you were using spreadsheets like probably all of us, you can just upload them all here and you can kind of ditch your spreadsheets and have all your data here. And you can also create contacts like one by one, right? Like if you just kind of hear about a potential community member or just want to create your team members profile here, you can just do that very manually. It's super easy as well. Now, if I go through my CRM, I can kind of already see like different things happening here, right? Number one, I have different columns from name to company, location, email, etc., etc. I can also edit this view, so I can actually edit what I'm going to see here in my CRM, which is pretty fun. So you see that there are things like t-shirt size and birthdays. These are custom objects that we have built for our CRM. That's something that's important to us in our community, but you can track whatever you want, right? That's kind of the fun of our CRM. And you can also see that I'm tagging members. So I'm also using tags to kind of be able to categorize members, and I'm going to show you a little bit later on how you can work with tags. And last but not least, you see the source. This is really cool because you get to actually see kind of the origin of that contact, whether it first came through GitHub, Slack, HubSpot, right? Or an event registration, or if it was just created manually and then you invited that member to your community. We're kind of able to track that for you. Now let's go a little bit deeper, and I'm going to show you what an individual member profile looks like. So I'm going to hop here into my profile, and what you're going to see is my CRM profile within Talkbase, which is really cool. So number one, on the left, you can see kind of general information about me, my company. You can also see some tags that are here, some lists I'm a part of. That's kind of for you as the community manager to see which list this contact is kind of listed in, and some other things. I can also track things like bio, phone number, which is really cool, right? If some of your members are maybe contributors or event speakers or ambassadors, right? That's kind of the handy information you want to keep on hand. And then I can see which platforms I have been active in. So you see that I have been in the Talkbase Slack. I have made a lot of posts, replies, reactions, and you kind of are able to see my activity over time. And you can also kind of change it, right? So you can kind of see what that activity has looked like in this year, in the last 3 months, in the last month, etc., etc. So that's kind of the first things. To quickly jump in here, I'm going to look at the chat kind of in between, but if you have any questions, also feel free to raise a hand if anything comes up. All right, this is kind of the first page you see on a CRM profile. Next up, we go under events. So under events, as you know, we actually have an add-on within our Talkbase platform where you can run events. If you registered for this one today, you use our platform, which is pretty fun. You can see that we are tracking different things on events that the person has registered for, and also that they have been host or a speaker at. So we kind of track this from both ends. We're able to give you the overview of which events this person has participated in and spoke at. We also have an area for notes, so you can keep track of notes, like if you had a one-on-one with the member or if they have any preferences, right? This is a good area for that. We also give you the opportunity to track photos of members and create public profiles for them. This is perfect if you want to list members on your community page or your event pages. You're just able to create kind of their own little profile with their photo, their social media, and their bio. So if your community members, are looking into your community page or want to see like who's behind the community, they can kind of learn a bit more about you. And I'm going to show you what the community page looks like as well. So that's the CRM from the contacts perspective. Now, the number two component of our CRM is companies. Before I hop in, let me show you a really fun trick, a kind of a little hidden gem that we have in here before I jump over. I already showed you that you can edit your columns, which is pretty cool. And this stays for your view. So your team members can have a different view. You also can find duplicate profiles. So if I click on this, I can actually see if there are any duplicate at profiles in my community, and there are. I see that there's Clara's profile, and I see that the email is different for some reason. I also see that Han Solo has two profiles with two emails. If I wanted to merge these, what I can actually do is click on both and then choose the primary contact. So what's going to happen? The information is going to get merged, photos are going to get saved, activity is going to get saved, and the email that you set as primary will be the primary contact email, and the one that's after, or if there are multiple, will be set as secondary, tertiary, etc., etc. So I'm just going to click merge here. I'm going to confirm, and those contacts are going to get merged for me. I don't have to worry about having duplicates in my database, which is really helpful. So yeah, that's kind of a little hidden gem that not a lot of folks know about. All right, let's dive into companies. So, as a lot of us are building communities as a part of our strategy in our company, whether that's for acquisition, product adoption, or just customer satisfaction and retention, it's great to know which companies are actually a part of your community. So we're able to populate that through a couple different sources. Number one, we're able to plug into your business CRM, so we can actually show you all the companies that your company's interacting with, and then match those members accordingly. You actually see that as you remember, we have integrated HubSpot. So what I'm going to be able to see here is if actually any of these companies are customers as well, which is pretty cool. Now I am going to search for Talkbase. You see that this company is actually in HubSpot, which is pretty cool. And if I open it, I can see that this company has been pretty active in our community. They have been active in Discord, they have been active in our Slack. I see that there are two platforms, they have 11 contacts. I also see that we have some revenue with them, which is really cool. And if I go under contacts, these are all the contacts and all the members that have been interacting within our community. So that gives me a little bit of a better understanding who are our companies and the members associated with those companies, right? I see some of these members are not in our community already. Some of them are in multiple communities. I see all the activities they're doing, etc. Same like with member profiles, you can keep notes under companies, right? So I can leave a note maybe for my team saying, hey, this is a really important customer. We want to make sure, that they always get invited to our events. Or under more details, I can create any custom attributes I want to track. So yeah, that's companies. You can also tag companies like you can members, and then work with that information a little further. Now, where this kind of starts being a little more fun is when we start building lists. So kind of a layer on top of our CRM and our companies is working with lists. Now, the way that they can help you is basically categorize your members, right? So number one, creating a list of everyone who was a speaker in your community, who was an ambassador, a content contributor, creating a list of those early members and veterans in your community, but you can also create a list of all the admins that you have, all your team members, right? You can use different filters to make that happen, and then report on top of those lists. It's great to have a list of members just to kind of keep track of them, but it's even better to use it for data purposes and to kind of be able to report on it. So if I wanted to create a list, for example, of everyone who is in our Slack community, I have two options. I can either create a static list. That's just like a little group conversation. Imagine you're doing a group conversation with your friends and you just add contacts one by one. It just stays the same unless you add or delete someone from it. Or I can create a dynamic list. Now, this is a little bit of a smarter solution if you want this to keep populating for you. So if I create a dynamic list, it's going to keep on populating based on the filters I set for it. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to choose a filter that there's a vast filters to choose from, that I want this person to be coming from our Slack community. And I also want them to be in our HubSpot. Now I'm gonna click on show results, and if some of our contacts actually if some of these filters apply to our contacts, this list is going to get generated. This is great. I see all the contacts here. I see that it's true. These folks are both in HubSpot and they are in Slack. I'm going to save the filter. I'm going to click save. I could also rename it Slack plus HubSpot, which is perfect. And if there are any more contacts that this criteria applies to in the future, they're going to be automatically added to this list. So if you want to keep the tabs on like these different variations of contacts, I highly recommend doing dynamic lists because they're going to keep populating for you. Another great example is creating a list of your community admins or just your community team. So we actually did a team of the Talkbase Slack members. So I created a dynamic list of everybody who is from our community, from our company, who is in Slack. And you see that so one of the filters I'm going to actually add here would be an email. So I'm going to choose everybody who has a Talkbase email, and I'm going to ask the filter to populate that for me. So yeah, that's how you would use lists. Now, where this comes really in handy is in reporting, like I said. So let's dive in. This is kind of the more data part of Talkbase. If we click on analytics, this is where you can kind of see data behind your communities. You have engagement dashboards, which show you a full-on engagement dashboard per each of your communities. As you remember, I have three communities connected right now, and you can also build custom dashboards. We build custom dashboards for our customers based on their most asked community questions, right? Is our community helping us convert more customers? Is our community helping us with product adoption? Are there cases being resolved and questions being resolved in our community by our members instead of our support agents? So we're able to build those custom for our customers so that they can really get those right answers. Let me show you what the engagement looks like first. So if I dive in here, again, I'm on top of our Slack community. I see how many active members I have, total new members over all time. If I kind of go through here, you can see this changes if I choose my date range. I can see the activity over time and how that has evolved. I can see how many posts, replies, and reactions there have been. I can also see activity distribution. So I see that 11 members had over 50 activities, posts, likes, comments, and 3 members had 0 activities. Interesting. So I kind of know like the ratio of active versus inactive members. And I can also see who's been the most active. So I see my most active members, I see my conversation starters, I see my most responsive members, and I see my top channels. So I'm able to see kind of all of this happening within our Slack community. Now, I can actually filter on top of this as well. So for example, if I took any of those static or dynamic lists that we were able to create, for example, admins only, I would be able to see what that looks like and how this changes, right? I can also take another list and use that, or I can actually just clear filters and lists and just like apply some custom filters here too. So if I wanted to see first name equals to Klara, let's see if this would actually show us something. Yes, it found me. So it found that there was only one person named Klara in our community, and this is how active they were. So I can see all of that, and yeah, I can kind of filter through it. If I wanted to then view some of these like full-on lists that we have here, one of my like favorite ways to use the most active members is like monthly like challenges, or just like letting your members know like monthly, hey, thank you for being so active in our community, or thank you for being the top 20. I can just click on view all. I can also choose how many folks I want on that list, and I can create a static list from it, right? So I can have like my March top 20 list, my April 20 list, and things like that. On custom reporting, there is a lot that we build in terms of custom reports. I took a few screenshots from dashboards and proposals that we've built. So I'm going to walk you through those in a second. But there's really some fun, exciting stuff that we're able to build with our dashboards. All right. I know that there's a lot in the product on how you can kind of manage Talkbase and how you can use it. So one thing I wanted to show you today is also how we use Talkbase for Talkbase. So that's kind of the key components of what the platform can do. And let me kind of show you a usual day of a community manager at Talkbase and what they would do. The first thing I usually do when I log into Talkbase in the morning, I kind of see that everything's running. I see that all my integrations are plugged in. There's no like exclamation point here showing that, that everything's working fine. So the first thing I would do is actually go under applications. At Talkbase Friends, we have a gated community, which means we review every single applicant that signs up for our community. So the first thing I would want to see, who are our new applicants that signed up? We have a form on our website. It's a Talkbase embedded form. So I was actually able to build it here through this form. I was also able to set up the email automation behind if somebody submits the form, if they get approved, if they're waitlisted, or if they're rejected. So if I click on review, I am, yeah, we have Joey on the list. So if I want to approve some of my folks here, I'm just going to choose the accounts I want to approve. I can also show the answers to the questions that we had in the form. I can also write notes here. So if I wanted to write a note for my other colleagues, for example, why I rejected this person or why I waitlisted them, I can do that here. And then I'm just going to click approve. Now, before I approve, I already had my email prepared. But if it's like a special person, or for example, someone from our marketing would ping me like, hey, we have like an exciting lead joining our community, make sure to send them a custom message. I can do that here too. So I have my template here. I was actually able to set up a custom email address. So it doesn't just come from my email, it comes from our community email. And yeah, I can invite them to our community. This is pretty fun because you're able to embed the form anywhere, and you're also able to fully customize the message and add any community link you like, right? So it doesn't matter if you want to prompt them to join your Slack, your Circle, your Discord, or any other channel. You can also ask them like, hey, kind of one thing we do if somebody submits a form, before we're able to approve them, we ask them like, hey, by the way, we're super active on LinkedIn. Here's our page and here's our blog if you want to just follow our content in the meantime, right? So it kind of makes that experience a little nicer. So that's the first thing I would do. Coming into work, approving our members, making sure that they're let into community, and they can kind of get in and see what's happening. Then I would also kind of check on the stats of what's happening in our community. We run on Slack, so that's kind of where I would go. I'm usually very curious in kind of the last week's activity, and the most active folks, and also over the last month. So that's one of the things that I would do. Just kind of checking who's been active, who's been one of the folks that have been kind of, helpful of building us our community. One of the other things I like to do is look at the most active new members. Since this is actually our company Slack, we've all been kind of on it for a little while, but where you're going to be able to see here is the folks within that period, so within the last month, who have been new to that workspace, and if they are active. And what I actually love to do is engage with those members a little more, right? So if somebody just joins our communities and are really active, it's amazing to tell them thank you, see if they want to be involved in any other way, see what they're liking about the community, if they have any feedback for you. So that's a great prompt. So that's kind of another area where I like to go. And yeah, then I kind of like to check on the other things that we have going on. So right now we'll be planning a new event series on Talkbase and on cross-functional teams. So I'm going to actually look into our events. This is where you can plan events from start to finish. I'm going to create a couple of those events as a couple of placeholders for us. So I'm going to just fill it out all here, choose my date, choose the event go live, choose my time zone, and it's going to create like a full event page for me. And next thing I want to do is actually look at, do we have any other speakers that we have engaged with in the last year that we could potentially invite to this event? So once I create all my events here, I would go to contacts and filter everyone who has been a speaker with us. So I'm going to actually click here, go under my tags, and select as tag speaker and see if this helps find anyone. I see that I tagged 2 folks as speakers. This is amazing. So I'm going to ask them and invite them if they want to speak at our next event. And I'm also going to delete that filter and see if I forgot anyone to tag them. So I'm going to look at number of events spoken is more than 0. And let's see if this helps me. Oh, I see that I have a lot of other folks that have actually spoken at our events. So I'm going to do both of those filters. Filter group, tags, speaker, show results. Wonderful. So that got me 12 contacts, 10 plus 2. I'm going to save this as a dynamic list. I'm going to name this potential speakers. I am going to make sure that all of them are tagged speaker, because some of them I forgot to tag before. So we've tagged all of them right now, which is perfect. And then I'm just going to go into their profile and see how active they have been with us. I'm going to see which events they spoke at, just to kind of see like what was their topic before, and I can kind of like discover who I want to invite as a speaker to my next event. So this is kind of what I would do prepping for our next event series. The next thing I would want to see is how are our registrations going for events that we already have coming up. So I'm going to click on upcoming events. I see that we have our lightsaber battle, which is coming pretty soon on May 4th. Of course it is, on May 4th. And I see that I have 0 registrations right now, which I'm pretty bummed up about. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to send out an invitation to a couple of members, but I see that I'm still on speaker acquisition. So first thing I have to do, that's probably why I don't have anyone coming to my event, is I have to actually publish it. So I'm going to publish my event here. I am going to put in my stream link. I'm going to put in my location. We can do San Francisco. Let's see if this finds something for us. I'm going to set up my reminders and I'm going to publish my event. Once my event is published, I can actually start inviting folks to my event. So that's kind of like my daily things I would do. As you can see, the invite button got enabled here for me. Again, I can use all of my contacts, or I can use any of those dynamic lists, or I can just apply any filters I want to apply. So again, this kind of just like brings in all the data, all the CRM together. And this is how I can kind of work with Talkbase on creating some fun things. And yeah, if it's reporting time, I would go under my custom built reports that I have here, and I would take some screenshots, share this with the folks that I need to share this with, and take it from there. Last thing I quickly wanted to show you before I dive into like deeper analytical boards is the community page. This is kind of the last component that brings it all together. As you know, there is a lot of things that you can do internally within Talkbase, data, reporting, dashboards, but there are also some things that are public facing that you can do. Events, information about your community, application forms, and people profiles. So all of this gets logged in your community page. This is what that page looks like. It's a public URL, public link with your logo. You can set up a custom banner, all the custom text here. You can see that there are some upcoming events, the one that we just published together. I also see that there are some linked resources. I also see that there are some team members. They have public profiles that have been built for them, which is amazing. So I can learn about the community managers that are going to take care of me and welcome me in the community. And I also see that there's some ambassadors of this community, which is really cool. So I kind of can see like, what's the vibe, who is a member. And last but not least, I can click on join community. This is the form. So if I want to become a member, I can join right here. And then that would fall into my application form and approval. So yeah, that's kind of like the going full circle, right? From enabling your community, setting up your integrations, getting your contacts, looking at the data, building lists, doing some reporting, doing some like add-on items like building public profiles, events, collecting registrations, all the way to building your full community page. And the last thing I actually wanted to show you today, before we wrap up, or I leave a space for any questions, are our analytics. So like I said, we built analytics custom for each of our customers. And I quickly wanted to show you like some fun things that we report on and that we were able to utilize. Actually, a lot of the reports we have been building for our customers, we also started using internally because we really love them and we feel like that data gives us value. So let me walk you through it. I always have a prompt, a question that we got from our customer, and I'll show you the data we were able to show them. So the first prompt and the first question we got from one of our customers was, what does our 30-day retention look like, right? So very simple, being able to show them how many new members you have in those 30 days, what's their average retention after those 30 days they have been onboarded, and what does that curve look like, just so it's easy, digestible, visualizable. So that's one of the first things that we were able to build. Number two was, are events helping us convert to paid membership, right? This could be anything from our events helping us convert customers, our events helping us get more members to our community. So we built a couple of graphs to actually help visualize that. So number one, we have built a graph that shows event attendance to membership conversion. So you can see how many attendees there have been, which means that event was kind of the first source of that contact. And we're able to track that across your community and your CRM. So we know that that data is true. And then we tracked to paid membership. So we know that from this amount of registrations, they got this many members, which is really cool. So we're able kind of to see the conversion rate. And then on the right side, we actually wanted to go a little deeper and see, all right, how many events does it actually take to convert? Is it one? Is it two, three, four, or more? So we were able to kind of give them the split of this. Of course, the numbers here are mock data, because this was kind of the mock dashboard we built for them. We're of course not able to share screenshots from our customers' dashboards, but you get the idea, right? So we're able to see the full-on conversion and then how many steps it actually took to get them there. That was another question that we were able to answer. Um, One of the really common questions I hear coming from our users and our potential customers is how many sales opportunities came from our community, right? So this is kind of looking at, all right, we have closed this many deals this year. How many actually came from our community? How many had a community activity, right? So we were able to build a dashboard that shows total opportunities with community activity that were opened, total opportunities that were actually closed, and what was the conversion rate. And in the ideal world, we would also build the same chart for this without community activity, right? And if the conversion rate is higher for opportunities with community activity to those that don't have any community activity, we have a huge win, right? And we're proving that community is helping us close more deals, and the experience for those customers is better. So that's kind of the goal and what we would want to show with this one. We also had another question asking us not if there were any deals, like what was the conversion rate of closed deals, but are there any possible deals? So we had to kind of reverse this and look at, are there any potential customers? Now, this needed a completely different set of data. Um, One of our customers asked us, do we have any potential customers in our community? We have a gigantic community. We're not really sure who our members are, and we want to see if they're active, if they're contributing, and if there's someone we could potentially work with in the future. So we were able to look at how many companies they currently have in a community and how many companies are kind of in their ideal customer profile based on the parameters they have given us. And from that, we were able to distill how many members they have and how many members they have in their ICP companies. From that, we were able to create a simple table that shows companies, the number of members, number of activities, and a possible deal stage in their CRM. In this case, it was HubSpot. So yeah, that's kind of like another way how we would do this. At Talkbase, we currently use Slack and we also use HubSpot. So we actually kind of just like copied the same dashboard for us to see like, hey, are there any of our potential customers interacting in our community? How is our community helping us for our current customers? And it kind of helps us measure both of those funnels. And last but not least, this final dashboard I wanted to share with you is kind of answering the question, which is how does community impact customer support, right? Is community generally helping customers understand the product a little better, understand our services better? How does that compare to our customer support team? So this is kind of a mock dashboard we built on helping answer that question, all the way from how many cases were answered by the community, the resolved case volume, the cost savings, and the case deflection, where we take cases that came through intercom and questions that came through your community platform, and we're kind of able to visualize that, which is pretty cool. So yeah, these are kind of a couple ways. I'm really sad I cannot show you some of these dashboards in live or even how we use them internally just because of data. I've been trying to find a tool that allows you to blur your screen while you're screen sharing. I haven't been successful yet, hopefully in the future. But I at least wanted to show you some kind of mock dashboards that we were able to build that were really helpful. All right. I want to leave some space for questions. Thank you also everyone for being so active in the chat. And I see that we have a question here, so I'm happy to read it out loud. I know we can review the list of most active members. Is there a way to see which users fall into which engagement level baskets? For example, I wanted to reach out to lurkers and build an engagement drip. That's a great question. That's something that we would definitely be able to define. And I think one of the things that would be core here is for you to define, what does lurker mean? So does that mean they haven't ever posted? Have they never posted in the last 6 months, in the last 3 months, right? Kind of defining those like initial data. We wanted to make sure that everything is pretty customizable in Talkbase. So even when you are, even when you go to, let's see where this would be. If we go to some of our engagement here and settings, I can actually set up weights for like different reactions, posts, and things like that. So that's the first thing that you would set up. And then we would also ask you some questions on what does this look like for the different roles in your community, right? An active member, a lurker, a contributor, a super user, and then we would be able to build that report for you. I see Lamari has a question too. Hi.
Hi, Clara. Thanks. So I don't use Talkbase, but I was curious to learn more about the platform because I think it does encompass a lot of problems that we are dealing with as an organization. I was looking at your integrations, and one of the challenges we have is tracking attendance in working groups. Since we have so many working groups, we literally have like 4 different Zoom accounts so that they don't overlap and cause problems. Um, and one of the problems that would be helpful to solve for us is just how to track all of that in one place. And I was curious if you guys have thought about looking at integration with Zoom metrics in terms of tracking that attendance.
That's a great question. We've definitely explored the Zoom integration, but what we've actually discovered so far, which may not be true like in the future, is that most communities actually use Zoom as a meeting, not as a webinar. So in a meeting, you can actually access it as a public link, which is a little different than if you have a webinar where there's more data behind as well. And that's what we're then able to pull from Zoom. So it's been a little tricky. Do you use Zoom for meetings, like as the webinars or like the events that you do? Is it a meeting setting or a webinar
Yeah, they are
setting?
meetings. Yeah, we wish we could do more webinars. We're a small organization, but
Mm,
but it's largely meetings. So it's an interesting
yeah. Yeah, it's I think one of the things that like why they kind of decided to separate that, and it's a lot more pricier to run like a webinar compared
yeah.
to a meeting as well. Like we run these on meetings too, and we kind of wanted to see, and that's kind of how we discovered that. It's always a little tricky, but it's something that we're looking into. We haven't had this like request from any of our current customers, but we're always, like I said, we're always super flexible. So even happy to like explore this with you to see if anything changed. One of the things that we've learned, even with the current integrations that we have, which I'm not sure I have showed, one of the things that we learned is that even the APIs change so much and so often. So we're constantly having to update all of them. So maybe something has changed since the last we explored. But that was kind of what I've learned since we did like the research about a year ago into Zoom.
I love the Slack, Discord, and GitHub integration because we use all three. And one of the issues is that some people wanted to use Discord, some people wanted to use Slack. And so having a place where we can see all the data um, is really awesome. So yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. It's great to see the overview.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Happy to share. One of my favorite topics to talk about, selfishly. Um, cool. Thank you for the questions. Yeah, any other questions anyone has on how we use Talkbase or yeah, anything around the platform?
I have some questions actually. If I can jump in, unless somebody else has a question for Clara. I mean, I know Tiffany just put up at the top, what is an ICP? Because there was one title of one on your analytics page. If you could just explain what ICP is very quickly, that would be great.
Oh yeah, ideal customer profile, right? So that would be kind of like the perfect profile of a customer that you wish you could work with. And there are always like different requirements, maybe the size of the company, size of the team, toolings that like the tools they use, all the way to maybe their annual revenue.
Perfect. Next question is, what is the number one feature about Talkbase that you're most excited about that differentiates Talkbase from other platforms, if you can say?
Ooh, that's a interesting one. I think one of the things that I really enjoy the most is I don't think it's a feature, it's just like the overall transparency you get as a community manager with our platform. One of the things I'm really excited about when we released companies was just being able to see like all of that together. Like it really felt like made me feel empowered, and I didn't even need to have access to our HubSpot anymore, even though, I do. Because I feel like so many community managers don't have access to those business CRMs. And just seeing that here, like being able to see who's a customer, who's not, who are the contacts, how are they interacting, like it just gives you like a full picture. And then being able to report on that, those are one of the like initial things where I thought like, wow, this really works. I love this. And then I think one of the things like that makes me the happiest is when we build some of those custom reports for our customers when, essentially when we work with their community team, they're trying to prove ROI, right? They're trying to prove the impact the community is having on whatever parts of the business or whatever strategy they're trying to implement. And seeing those results being so overwhelming, not just like small numbers, but huge numbers of potential customers, great adoption, great engagement, all the way to like helping solve cases, higher NPS scores for community members versus non-community members. All those things like are so overwhelming because if essentially community didn't work, we wouldn't exist as a platform, and we believe in it so much. I think that's like one of my favorite parts about all of it.
I love that. Now, we haven't talked about this on this event, but in the other series, when we talk about the other platforms, we talk about price. So
hmm
I know that you can use Talkbase for free, and there are different tiers. Can you just share a little bit about that for
Oh,
everyone's?
absolutely. Absolutely. That's such a great question. Thank you so much for bringing it up. So you can definitely start on Talkbase for free. That's definitely for our like hobbyist community builders. So if you just want to like test things out, and then we try to make Talkbase as accessible and scalable with your community as possible. So you can get started on our first like basic plan for as low as $20 a month, and also it depends on the size of your community and the integrations you need, right? We also just recently introduced our enrichment feature, which is something you can add on or is included kind of in your later pricing tiers as well. And our pricing is fully customizable. Let me actually show you what that looks like on our website. It's kind of pretty much the same as in the product, but then you kind of see the full comparison, and you're also able to add on, right? So you're able to add on more contacts, more enrichment. You're able to add on an integration. We just really wanted to make it as flexible and transparent as possible, because we feel like that's so important for community teams, especially, getting approval for budgets, really knowing what's included, what you need extra. I think that's crucial. So you're able to kind of see all of that listed on our website and all the things you're able to add on, along with, like I said, enrichment, multiple integrations, more seats, more contacts, and things like that. For our custom built dashboards, we're able to do some fun reporting for business plans already. But then if you want to go a little bit deeper, we're able to do custom quotes for each of our customers depending on the vast size of the dashboards and how much data sources they have coming in and so on. So yeah.
Great, thank you. And another question. It seems so easy to use and navigate through Talkbase, setting things up, managing things. What education do you have that people can go to learn how to set up things and do everything by themselves, or do they need to speak to somebody to get
Mhm.
things?
Absolutely. We wanted to make sure that just navigating this platform is super easy for anyone. So there's actually this little tab called resources where we're, again, very transparent on everything. So number one is our help center. If you click on here, it's going to take you to our knowledge base that our team has been doing an amazing job at keeping up to date. You're able to see tutorials, videos, screenshots of everything that's kind of happening. So from basics and setting up all the way to running all the different aspects of Talkbase. All of that is available here. Then under resources, we also have our product updates where you're able to see all the new things that are coming to Talkbase. So you're able to see if there are any fixes, any new features that you want to educate yourself on. Under that, you're also able to share feedback with us, and you also see our public roadmap that you can upvote. So you also kind of have like full transparency into what we're building. And last but not least, what we feel like is really important is having access to other folks that use the platform. So of course we have a community. It's called the Talkbase Friends community. I feel like a lot of you here are members today. And if you click on that, it's going to take you to our community that's not primarily product oriented, but we would love to aim it that way. We would love to really together as a group shape the future of community tooling and make sure that community teams are really, cross collaborative and like incorporated within the organization from all different ways. So that's kind of what we're kind of a little sneak peek of our community kickoff next week. So make sure to tune in. So we also have a channel where we're responsive, and it's not just me and my team and the community. All of our developers are there too. So they're also able to answer any technical questions and keep an eye on for any bugs and issues and things like that. So yeah, those are all of our resources. Apart from that, we also have a chat, some of lovely faces here. If you also have a question, you can just reach us through our chat.
Amazing. So many resources. I love it. I feel like a lot of tools often kind of miss the mark on education, which is key for us as community builders to be able to use the tools to help us build the community the way we want.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
thank you for thinking of all those different parts, because yeah, we need the tools to be able to do what we want to do, and it needs to be easy, and the instructions need to be as clear as possible. Okay.
Absolutely.
Any last minute questions from anybody on the call? I do have a fun question to ask you, which I'll keep to the end, but in case anyone has any platform specific questions, speak now. Right, raise your hand, come off mute, whatever you'd like. No? Okay. Then my last question to you is, if Talkbase were a superhero, what number one power would it have to strengthen communities? I know that it could have multiple superpowers, but if you were able to describe Talkbase as a superhero, what would be the power they would have?
Mm.
I'm putting you right in the deep end now.
Oh, that's so tough. And I have like so many like things coming to my mind. It's such a great question, but I honestly,
If there's
this
more
might
than one,
sound a little,
give me more than one.
it might sound a little cringe, but I feel like our mission from day one has been making lives of community managers easier. And I feel like if there's something that Talkbase could do, like for any community manager, would be just like to give them a hug. It's such a hard role. You do so much. We're so often one person, two person teams for
Mm.
thousands and then thousands and hundreds of thousands of members. And I feel like if that was this one superpower that this platform could do, I think a hug would be the great thing because all the rest, like all the data, all the ROI and all of that, we're already solving for it and we're only gonna get better. So I think it would be just like being able to hug the person on the other end.
I love that. I love a good hug. Like, I feel like we need more hugs as community managers, right? We often are sitting working remotely alone, and there maybe not be other people around. So, like, whether it's a virtual hug, a physical hug, if that's what
Or a high
Talkbase does,
five.
I'm signing up. I'm signing up. I want the hugs, all the hugs I can get.
Love it. Love it.
All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, obviously, if you do have more questions after this event, the Talkbase Friends community is the place to be, where Klara and all of the team are, and all of us actually are there. But we do have another event this month. We've got two events in March. It's March Madness. Our next event is going to be on the 19th, so in a few weeks' time. It's with Nicole Long, and she's going to be talking all about Notion. I am a big Notion lover. I know a lot of other people use Notion, and it is a powerful tool that can do so much. So I popped the link in the chat there for you to RSVP. She's going to show us all the ins and outs, her thoughts and feelings, all about Notion, and I can't wait for it. Other than that, thank you so much, Klara, for sharing everything that Talkbase does. I'm sure there's so much more. It's very, very insightful, and yeah, can't wait to get my hands into it a little bit more. And thank you everyone for coming. We will see you in 2 weeks' time for another event.
Thank you so much for hosting, Valentina. It was so much fun sharing Talkbase with everyone. And yeah, see everyone in 2 weeks.
See
Thank
you
you,
in 2 weeks,
everyone.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.